Poppy. Well, we'll just wait a few minutes for everyone to join. But how are you going? You know what I love? The little background there with
Ah,
the little
I moved
bookcase.
myself because we have a spare room that I have as an office, and the back wall is just boring white. And I thought, stuff that. Let's move into the
Stuff.
living room. Um, and it's
You
got all
look
my
well
books.
read. You look well read.
I know. I have this weird thing about books where I randomly get like a big bout of anxiety, which sounds so stupid when you're going to find out the reason, because I worry about all the books that I won't be able to read in my lifetime. And
Wow.
there's so many books that most of these ones I haven't read, all these ones up the top. These ones and these ones and these ones I've read. But it's like a sense of anxiety for me. However, I sit on my phone and I bloody scroll through TikTok and Instagram when I could be reading beautiful stories. So it's my own fault.
Are you a prolific reader? Are you one of those kids that just read heaps as well?
Okay, I always read, but not a fast reader. One of the slowest readers you'll ever meet, actually. Yeah, it takes me a
Ah.
while to get through a book. And also, which feeds into my anxiety of going, I'll never be able to read them all because I'm so slow at reading.
That's so. What up, chat? I'm seeing a bunch of people just entered the chat. What up, Min? Hey, Ash. Hey, Watto. 80. Nice to see you here. Gab. Good to see you guys here. Thanks so much for joining us today. And so quickly, Kenzie. Nice to see you. I was, yeah, as a kid, I would read literally everything, and actually quite quick reader, but cover to cover, anything that I could get my hands on. Like it would just, I just read and read and read and read. And I'm still like that, but I don't read books that much. I read a lot of, and I listen to a lot of podcasts as well. What up, Taylor, as well? Nice to see you here. I like dense consuming of information.
Yeah, there's a
Just
really
like
great app.
lots.
Have you heard of Audum? AUDM?
I
It's
have
a
not.
Okay, so it's an iPhone app, well, phone app. You can, I think it's like 12 or $13 a month, but it takes all of the big long form, amazing investigative articles from like Rolling Stone, The Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Times, all of those, puts them in the app, and then it reads it to you. But it's not a robot. It's like a nice person. Sometimes it's even the author of the
Ah,
article. So you can take like you can finish a 4,000 word piece while you go off on a walk or while
I love
do your
that.
washing or whatever. So good.
That's I need that, because that's, I mean, that's essentially why I don't read as much anymore. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but they're not articles, they're conversations usually, which I love as
Yeah.
well, because they're usually conversations about articles that have been written in all those publications, so you kind
Yeah.
of get across that stuff. But yeah, I think that's great. What up, Tegan? Nice to see you here. Hello, Britt. Lovely to see you guys here. Watto said he's got into audiobooks as well, and Gab as well, big listener opposed to
Yeah.
reading. I think it's because you can multitask. Like you
Yes,
can
you can
go
do
for
the
a
washing.
walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Ash said the same thing. She's for potties on a walk as well.
Saves time.
I don't know. It's just like, even though I do scroll a lot as well, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like when you're or driving, it's like multitasking. You're using
Yeah.
that time where you wouldn't usually be able to do. You couldn't read, but you can still consume information. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Although I found that when I listen to an article, or if it's an audiobook and I'm doing something, I found myself getting a bit distracted as well. I'm not really in the moment. Whereas if I'm sitting
Yeah.
there with a paperback book, there's nothing to distract me. So I feel like I ingest the info better.
That's interesting. Gab said I need to
Mm.
multitask in order to concentrate, and I'm a little
Oh,
bit like that
wow.
too. Yes.
Oh, that
Well,
my sister's the same,
yeah.
and she's a creative. She's a designer. She designs the Rolling Stone Australia
Yeah.
magazine, actually, and she's the same. She needs music on or podcasts or whatever.
Yes.
Whereas maybe because I
Yeah.
write, I can't have any distraction. Or no,
No, see, if
some
I'm
people write with
writing,
music.
I can't
Mm.
write with anything. Even emails, I have to, that's when it has to be silent. But because I'm
Yeah.
editing a lot, editing is like a different part of the brain. Like it's like you can
Mm.
totally focus on what you're editing and listening to music at the same, or music or podcast at the same time. What up,
Yeah.
Chloe? Nice to see you here as well. Um, and we just had a new follower, which I missed that name, and it is not coming up in my. Anyway, welcome new follower that just followed me as well. Judge Judy Slayer. There you go. Judge Judy Slayer.
What a cool
Janelle, nice to
name.
see you. Oh, we have them all here on Twitch, that's for sure. All of the range of names, that's for sure. What up, Jazz? Oh my god, everyone's here today. This is so great. Well, I wanted to introduce you and thank you so much for being here today. And Britt just said she wanted to congratulate on being a finalist for a Music Journalist of the Year. I did see that information just come
thanks,
through.
Britt. Yeah, oh my gosh. And Jane Gazzo and Sosafina Fuamoli. I can't believe it. Well, Sos.
Yes. I was just on the phone to Sos 2 minutes ago, so yes.
I messaged her. I was like, I can't believe my name's next to yours. I'm so stoked.
She's the best. She is, that's my bestie right there. Multitasking right now, Tegan said. Getting packed for a shoot. It's great. I think photographers are pretty good at multitasking because I think it's something we have to do all the time with what we like. Yeah. I don't know. It's just something about the craft and multitasking. But anyway, we've got you here today. I'm super excited because we had you on my podcast with Tama a couple of weeks ago, and it was such a great chat. And I just thought, I just really think my community would get a lot out of you coming to talk. So I'm really appreciative of you being here. And I know we're going to talk about some really fun things, which will be great.
Thanks
so
for
let's
having
start
me.
with, oh, no worries. Let's start from, what up, Julia, as well? Thank you. Thanks for being here. How about we start from the start? A Gen D photo as well. I'm seeing all these names pop up. So welcome to everybody. I really appreciate you being here. Let's start from the start. Give us a little bit of your backstory because you were born in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. And born in New Zealand.
Let's go back to the start.
Grew up in a small town called Whangarei. My claim to fame is that Keith Urban was also born in that town, as I previously told you. Yes. And moved over to the Gold Coast when I was 14, turning 15. As most Kiwis do, we flock to the sun.
It definitely that's a thing, isn't it? Kiwis, they go. Yeah. Cherie, my other best mate, she also went to the Gold Coast when she moved from New Zealand as well.
Why wouldn't you? Like, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
And we used to have holidays there as well. Every couple of years we'd save up and come over. And my aunt and uncle and my 2 cousins had already moved over and moved to Brisbane. So we'd come over and visit them. And then, we actually moved to the Gold Coast. It was freaking incredible. And so did my last 2 years of high school there, and then went to Griffith University, studied journalism, then moved to Sydney to do an internship with no place to live, no friends, no job. The internship was free. Packed up my stuff, stayed in the backpackers for like 1 or 2 nights, but found a place to live like the day after I moved, actually, which is great. I was actually practicing my way to work. Like, I was going, I've got to, make sure that I'm on time for my first day of my internship, so I'll practice it. Got on the bus to go, and then I saw that there was, the Glebe markets in Sydney. Mm-hmm. So I saw that saw it was a Saturday, and I saw that they were on. And so I was like, well, this is cool. I don't think I'm far from here. I can walk to the office from here, because back then it was up on St. John's Road, and got off at the markets, and right next to it was this big terrace place that was open for inspections for people to rent. It was open for lease, and so I went in there and I was like, this is awesome, and moved in the next day. And then
that's such a good place too. Like, that's a really good place. Like, I love that part of Sydney, because I'm very Melbourne and I don't love Sydney, but I do love that part of Sydney. It's probably my favorite part of Sydney. Really
and cool. I haven't really left it as well. So I live in Ultimo now, which is just 1 suburb over. And I go to the Glebe markets whenever I can. Everything I have is secondhand, pretty much.
I love that. I'm a big thrifter as well. It's super fun.
Oh, all for it. Even in lockdown, I'm like, I don't really want to buy new stuff online shopping. I go on Depop or Facebook Marketplace or eBay or something, just to get my fix of secondhand clothing. Just love giving 100%. It another life.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm a big fan of Depop or any of those where you can get secondhand stuff. I love Savers in Melbourne. Do you have Savers in Sydney? Is that just a Melbourne thing? Savers is like a gigantic secondhand thrift store. It's huge. Like, they're in big suburbs too. So like Footscray has one. There's one out in like Oakley. They're like a big warehouse. Oh, and I just I'll spend hours in there because I like. Are you one of those people, like, do you like looking through the stuff
I will
to find...
rummage. Like, I will
I'm
on the ground, in the bin, rummaging to the bottom, trying to find, the thing.
Janelle's saying they've got Savers in the US. That's cool. When I went to America, I died because they have the best secondhand stores. Like, every time we stopped somewhere on tour, it's like, I'll be like, bye, everyone. I'm just going to whatever local thrift shop I can find.
Yes.
Like Portland, I remember Portland having amazing stuff. So
I
good.
went to one in LA and I found 3 pairs of Page denim jeans, and they're normally like 300, 350 Australian dollars, and I got them for like $12 US. And
Oh,
I was just like wrapping them over my shoulder, going, just give me whatever. I'll make them fit.
there's a massive people in LA will know what I mean, but there's a huge market that happens. It's in Pasadena, and so it's out of LA a little bit, but it's at a big stadium. Like I can't like the Pasadena Bowl or something, and it's huge, and it's
my
just like
God.
this massive like outdoor thrift shop. And I remember going there, and I'm really into like 80s kind of bomber jackets and like patterned all that stuff that used to be in the 80s and 90s, and there was just racks of it, and I just got
Oh my
so
God.
overwhelmed. I was like so overwhelmed. I'm like, it was like too much choice.
Yeah, yeah. And you want to see every single item because you're like, what if I
Yes,
miss
and
one?
everything's
Yeah,
like
it's overwhelming.
$10. And like it's like you just don't find stuff like that in Australia, so it's like it's wild. I completely relate.
Thrift shopping is the
Yeah.
best.
We could just talk about thrift shopping the entire
Yeah,
stream.
I'm an expert. I feel like I saw this tweet once and it was like, what could you talk about for half an hour straight that you know a lot about? And I'm like, glebe markets.
Yeah. And here we are on the stream talking about it.
Oh, funny.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, so back to the music.
Yes.
I started an internship at the Music Network, which is still going
Yes.
amazingly strong.
It is.
And it's a music trade publication for anyone that doesn't know it. It also had a magazine back then, a weekly magazine. So started as an intern, worked my way up gradually to editor, and I've been there 7 years when I took my current role as managing editor of the Bragg Media, where Luke Gerges, who I'd been writing about because he was the head of Shock Records, the label. I don't know if you remember that indie label.
I do. I certainly do.
Yeah, and he was also an artist manager of a band called Little C, which was signed to Sony. So I was writing about him and his bands and the things he was up to quite a bit. So I knew of him but had never met him. And then he asked to meet with me, told me about his vision for what he wanted to do, starting a media company. And I assumed he was just getting advice from myself and a bunch of other music editors. And then a few weeks down the track, he called me and said, I've bought Tone Deaf and I've bought Bragg and I want you to come over and launch the Bragg Media with me. And I had no freaking clue of how I would even start. At the Music Network as editor, I had one staff member and one freelancer.
Wow.
And then I went to we had 20 staff when we launched, and a host of freelancers as well. And so it was just like shock.
So did you have any hesitation in that moment? Like you're just talking about those emotions. Like I guess for me, I would imagine that's where maybe like an imposter syndrome thing kicks in, and I'm like, can I even do this? And did all of those emotions go through your head?
That's what's so weird because I really do have imposter syndrome. I really looked into it and I saw that I'm in really great company because even Meryl Streep has imposter syndrome, which made me feel better.
Yes.
But I've looked into that and I've looked at moments where I've just gone, I'm a fraud. Like everyone's going to figure out they have no clue what I'm doing. It's going to happen any moment. Oh my God. But with this and with moving to Sydney for the internship as well, there was just no hesitation because I'd always wanted to work as a music journalist. I love music and I'd always loved writing about it. So it was just a no-brainer, which is so weird because I almost think what was weird? The imposter syndrome really hit me when I saw the job description, which I saw after I had taken the job. I read that and I'm like, there's no way. Like I don't know my way around a budget, and I have to do Excel sheets. Oh my God! Like it was.
Yes.
I'm so glad that I didn't read that job description. Like that would probably be my advice for anyone who has imposter syndrome. Look at the title and just go for it. Don't look at the job description unless you absolutely need to for the interview.
Yes.
Because that really stops any kind of imposter syndrome coming through when I took the role.
I love that though. I think there's like so much inspiration for people because I know that it's something we've spoken about a lot. That, like you said, Meryl Streep has imposter syndrome. I feel like it. Every single creative or artist has gone through that at some time in their lives. Jen just wrote, job descriptions always intimidate me. Have you ever read that, the statistics on like the gendered stuff around applying for jobs? And
Is
it's
it
like,
men
so
will go for? Sorry, you go, because I don't know.
yeah, so I think my memory of it was like women had to tick like 9 out of 10 things in a job description for them to apply for a job, and men would see 3 out of 10 and be like, and which I think's great. Like, you should, I always think just like go for it. I'm very much like that, you know, in my life as well. But it's just interesting how a lot of women will suffer a lack of self-confidence unless they know 1,000% they can do that job. They won't apply for it, whereas men will kind of go, oh yeah, I think I could probably do that, and then just apply for it, which, you know, we all need to be a bit more like that. I think take a bit of a risk, because you learn you learn into a job as well. It's not like you can do all of the things at the start.
Totally, and you're taking on a new challenge. Like, if it wasn't a challenge and it wasn't a step up for you, why would you even be doing it? And if it's a step up, it means there's new tasks. But that statistic kind of makes me sad, because it makes me think of so many women who would have killed it in a role that you know, someone else has gone for, just because they didn't see themselves doing 9 out of 10 of the things in the job description. Sad.
Yeah, it is sad. So I mean, I think whenever those statistics come out, I hope that it actually gives women the confidence to go, okay, next time I see that, I'm going to put myself out there. Because I guess it's that imposter syndrome falls into it, because you don't want to be found out that you don't know what you're doing. Because I think we have to overcompensate with everything. It's like we always have to do everything 5 times as good. It feels like that anyway. So I understand where it comes from, but I think we should all be a little bit more fake it till you make it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was probably a bit too honest with Luke as well. Once I saw the job description, Luke's the CEO and founder, and I said, I don't know how to do half of this. Like, I've never done like a budget in a spreadsheet. I can't actually work a spreadsheet. I don't know how to do formulas. I suck. And he was like, that's okay. We can learn it together. Like, he's like, I'll help you and you can learn it. And
so did you guys have a good, like, so obviously you've just got a great working relationship from the stuff that you guys have done together, but had you worked really closely, or had he just seen something in you that he's just like, there's something here, like I really believe that Poppy can do this? Because this sounds pretty cool that he's like, you know, had a little chat with you and wants to work with you in this way.
It's wild. We had never met before. We'd never spoken on the phone. And then we had, you know, that catch up, which I was actually late to because I was racing from another meeting. And he skateboarded to that meeting as well. I was like, oh my God, he's so cool. Yeah, I always say, like, he skateboarded into my life, which is funny. But no, he's a massive champion of people. There's been so many staff that we've had and staff that we have now that he's just like, you can do this. Like our news editor, Geordie Gray, she joined us. She started as someone who was there to build a social media audience for a band that we were working with as part of a campaign. And then she expressed that she really loved video. And he's like, cool, you're going to be a video editor. You'll figure it out. Gave her all like these links to stuff, be like, you can learn it, rah. Suddenly she was editing video and killing it. She told us that she was keen to start writing a little bit. So we brought her on as a writer, found out she was actually really, really, really good at it. And so we made her a full-time writer and moved her over from video editing. And then the news editor role popped up, and it was actually Luke that was like, I reckon Geordie can do it. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be so cool. I think she can too. I think she knows what our readers love like the back of her hand. I think she'll like really kill it. And you know, but it was him that was like, she's going to do this. She's going to take one of the most integral roles within our business, and she is going to flourish. And she has. Like, oh my God, I love that girl.
I just love this story. It's like, it's really, it's incredibly inspiring. I feel like Nate Flagrant has been that person in my life who definitely saw something when I first started out and has really championed me from the very, very, very start. And those types of people are integral, you know, because they do take a bit of a risk on someone, you know, maybe new and get you to develop. And that's something that I like to do now as well, is like when you see something in somebody, like give them an opportunity, because like, you know, I think you can really tell with those people, and you probably see this too, Poppy. There's people that say they want to be in the industry, and then there's people that will actually, they have what it takes, because there's two separate things. And there's something about like what it takes to be in this industry. There's so much initiative and work ethic and all of that stuff. It's not just about saying you want to do it. It's actually showing it through producing lots of different stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like the work ethic needs
well.
The hustle.
Yeah. That's actually such a huge thing. You know, all of our staff members currently have that. Like it is, like they're the ones that you can lean on. Something that's completely not related to their role, something that you just need help with. They're like, I got you. Like I'll figure it out. I'll help you. You know, that's kind of everyone on our team, which is pretty freaking amazing. And I think that it comes from the top. It comes from Luke as the CEO. He writes articles if we need him to, literally. Like I was really sick once and I was like, this thing's just broken and I'm so sick. And he's like, I got it. I'll figure it out. I'm like, but you can't write. And he's like, whatever, I'll figure it out. He's that guy in every sector of the business. And so we all are. You know, we all help out wherever we can. Like when we pulled off our Rolling Stone Australia Awards earlier this year in March, like we were all doing things we'd never ever done before. Like we had amazing clients on board, we had cool activations with different things happening, and it was our team running that shit. And we were just like,
we're actually looking at the video that from the Rolling Stone Awards at the moment that's on your Instagram, so that was like really great timing. What up, Midnight Rush? And thank you, Britt and Chloe. They said that I'm that to them, so that's really lovely that you guys feel that way. So that's very cute. I definitely feel like we get that a lot with very early on when we started working with Rule. There was a lot of us doing lots of different things in that creative team when we didn't have, you know, big budgets and stuff. A lot of people wearing lots of different hats at that time, and it's like everybody stepped up to make each other better. Like you kind of rise to the occasion.
Yeah, you do. You've got to put yourself in it because you don't know what you're capable of. Like we never knew that we were capable of pulling off something that looked so slick and felt so exciting. And now we've done it. We're like, cool, what's happening next year? Let's expand. Let's go to a different country and do it. You know, that's where we're at.
Yes, that's so cool. And I think when you find that group of people, it's really special. Like it really is something, because it is kind of rare that you can have all these people that get along really well, work really well together, and push each other to be the best they can be in that space. Like that's really rare and really cool.
Yeah, they just make you want to be better. I was in a brainstorming meeting yesterday, and we have this a creative director within our company called James DeFabrizio. He's got a beautiful name, and he came up with all of these ideas, like he had a little think about it and he presented them. And I was like, I'm so lucky to get to work with someone that just has that has those ideas inside of them. And I just like, it just made me want to be a better worker and just a better creative and a better strategist. Like he just inspired me in that moment. I'm like, God, I'm lucky to work with you.
That's so good. Yeah, that's awesome. It really is. Like it's such a rare thing to find groups of people like that. And I'm stoked to hear that you know, you have that as well. It's really awesome. It's really fun. And so where were we at? You started to work there. So have you taken on, when did it like, because originally it was like the Tone Deaf and when did, like Rolling Stone happened? It was like expanded to a bunch of different publications.
Yeah, so we had Tone Deaf, we launched Don't Bore Us, which is our kind of Gen Z music platform. We had The Brag, we launched the Industry Observer, and then, oh my God, I feel like I'm forgetting one. We had J-Play, but then I was going to say
Industry Observer is a big, I love that, just getting that email, because there's always the industry tweet, and like I've been in there a couple of times, and you're just like, oh yes, my tweet got selected to be
it's so fun. Yeah, I know. I think people open it just. I think Nick Finlay at Triple J said that he opens everyone just to see the tweet, and
just to see the tweet.
And there were a couple of days where we didn't have one. We just like had to fire out the newsletter, and it takes a little while to get the perfect top industry tweet.
Of course.
And
you got to go through, like, see who's tweeting, and like there's work in that.
Yeah, and he emailed me and he's like, I noticed there wasn't the tweet.
Excuse me?
Yeah, and this is from someone who doesn't really tweet himself. He's not very front-facing in the industry, so it's not like he's aiming to be featured in that. He just
Yes,
is really
he
interested and
likes
finds them
reading
really
that.
funny. We went a bit serious for a while. We had a few serious tweets, some like real comments on the industry and issues and stuff, and then we thought, nah, let's keep it light. So my
It's
goal is
way
to
better
find
when it's funny.
ones.
Yeah, it's way better when it's funny. Gab just said her life goal is to make industry tweet. I remember when the first time it happened, so many people screenshot it and were sending it to me. Like they were really proud that I'd made it.
Oh, I love that.
I can't even remember what it was on, but yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, you've had some great ones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have to. It's interesting with Twitter's a whole thing. It's like
I'm off Twitter. I'm not back on it yet. I'll go back one day. I'll go to maybe share my my congrats to Sos and Jane and share my finalist nomination maybe. But like, yeah, I kind of stay away from Twitter. It seems a little bit.
Well, you can. The thing is, like, it encourages you to be a bit spicy on there, and
it does. It likes the spice,
and it likes the spice, which and you get rewarded for that. But I remember starting to see myself be like a bit snippy in that. I'm not like that. I'm actually not. And so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna step back a little bit. I don't want to get rewarded for being a bit sassy. Like, you can be like that with your friends, but I think like, especially as a freelancer in the industry, and this has definitely bitten me on the ass before as well. If you get too sassy, people notice that stuff.
Oh, we definitely look at people's Twitter if they're applying for a role with us. Always.
Yes.
Yeah,
and there you go, guys. Heard it from Poppy herself.
Yeah, and
be careful of what you put up.
Yeah, when people come at us or call us out in a non-constructive way, in a way that's not helpful. Yeah, we get sent it all the time. People just like screenshot it and send it to us, so we always know.
Yeah, it's actually a really tough lesson to learn if you get caught. Yeah, because I've spoken about this on my Twitch before, but I made a comment about an international artist once, and the promoter of the tour saw the artist and was like, just black banned me, like just wouldn't let me shoot their festival anymore. And it was a joke. Wow. It was like a total joke. But like, you know, you do. It's a lesson that I want to share with people, because it's like industry people are watching. I get really worried when I see young people oversharing, because I think there's like, and I think it's great that there's an outlet to share stuff, especially with mental health and stuff as well. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I know people are watching, and I know sometimes what that's going to look like, and it doesn't look that professional. So it's trying to find that balance between doing what you need to do just to let off steam, but also being aware that people are watching all the time.
Yeah, you put that so perfectly as well, because there is a place for expressing a bad experience. Perhaps it will be really helpful to other people, but there's also a line, isn't there, where it's just like, well, that's a little bit, if you want to stay in the music industry, that could be seen as detrimental to you.
Yes.
Yeah, but you've got to take it with a grain of salt as well. We definitely look at Twitter for people that want to work with us, but we take it with a grain of salt. We may see something that's super negative and go, well, Twitter does love to amplify that stuff.
Maybe they were having a bad day as well. Like, if it's not their entire timeline, it's just a tweet or something. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Everybody's human. People are going to say dumb shit sometimes, for sure. We've all said dumb shit.
Hell yeah. Totally. Yeah.
The best thing that was ever invented, by the way, is tweet delete. I don't know if you know about that app, but you can delete tweets that are, trust me, you can delete tweets that are older than like 3 months. So
I love that. That's really cool. Because I do think about that. Yeah. And I'm not like a prolific tweeter at all, but I do think about years ago that are now no longer okay to say. And I wonder about things that we are now saying, if 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, that is considered a really horrible thing to say. So that's cool that exists. That's
exactly what got me called out, and that's why I delete all my tweets now, because I don't want to be called out in another 10 years, because that's what it was, a 10-year ago tweet, and it was language we just don't use anymore. Yeah. I already know that, because I don't use that language anymore, but it's like it teaches. I'm actually just more worried for the younger people that are, they're the ones often calling people out, and I don't think they've got the retrospect to understand that language does evolve, And like where we are at the moment is completely, it's like so different to where we're going to be in 10 years. So what you think is appropriate now is going to be so different. Like we're going to be so far down the track.
Yeah, one thing that I always think about that is like call out culture. If you're really a part of it and you know, a part of your brand on Twitter or on social media is about call out culture, you're eventually going to have to call out yourself.
Or someone else is going to, without a doubt. Like
and then you're going to have to own that shit. And yeah, you're going to go, okay, well, I've cancelled people for this, so I have to cancel myself.
Well, no, because nobody's perfect and everybody's misstepped at some. This is why I'm actually really against cancel culture. To be honest, I don't think it's actually constructive anymore. I'm very much about call-in culture. We actually had an issue the other day. There might be a few people in the chat that knows this, but there was a photographer that did something really shitty and he's a new person. And there was a few people saying we should call him out. And I said, just give me an opportunity to go speak to, like I tweeted him and then I actually DM'd him and had a chat and said, hey, I know that you're new, but what you did is actually like completely unacceptable. And he, to be fair, he took it on the chin and was like, I'm so sorry. I did this thing, it is really shitty, and hopefully he won't do it again, rather than just going, blast, this person did something really shit, especially when they're new, because they're like, what are you achieving? He doesn't have any power. There's no power structure here. Like, that's what calling out is supposed to be about, not just killing someone's career when they first started. That's not what call out culture is for. So just it's for it's supposed to be I just talk too much about this topic and listen too much. So I am really passionate about, I just want to find constructive ways to make people better, because we're not perfect. Like all of us, we're all just humans. So
people that are new, that like you say, there's no power imbalance at play. It should be about growth and learning, not, ostracizing. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Peter Coulson in the chat. What up? So good to see you. Haven't seen you in ages. Prolific photographer in the chat right now. So nice to see you. Min, no, it was a different one. He said, was it the guy who snuck into the Kanye concert? That was, did you see that? Was
that the Sunday, was that one of his Sunday?
The first one. No, it was the first Donda performance. This guy, he snuck in and he made a whole TikTok thing about it, like how he faked the pass, he went through security, like it was next level, like arrogant, like I can't even, anyway. And so I mean that's on a different level, because, and also too, there was publications like Complex and stuff that were publishing his photos, and I was more interested in calling them out for actually, like, this behavior is what gets photographers banned from stuff. So that's like, for me, it was like calling out the publications, like, why are you endorsing this? This is horrific behavior.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, I had an amazing photographer, Shervin, from New York City. He photographed Amy Shark here in Australia, I think, or maybe when she was over there. Anyway,
we're literally looking at this photo. Why are you saying
what? Promise
it's
you,
so
I can't see this stuff. So weird.
I know. Looking at the Amy Shark shot right now.
So that shot he took, and we obviously used it in the magazine and online for that feature. And then he reached out and he was like, "Hey, thanks for using my photo, rah rah." And then I said, "Oh, great to be connected. I love your work." And then he reached out again and was like, "Hey, I really want to shoot some portrait shots at Lollapalooza. And I don't know what you're going to do with them, but I just need an in. Like, I just need some help." And I was like, yes, that sounds great. So I've, wrote a letter saying we'd like him to shoot some portrait shots at Lollapalooza. It's a win-win. He gets to, build his portfolio, and I got to put them all on our website. We created this whole slideshow thing for them. I made sure that his name was tagged everywhere. It's even in the headline. And then we get these beautiful portrait shots. So if ever we write about Angels and Airwaves, or if ever we write about Perry Farrell, then we can use those shots as, like, they're kind of like press shots that we have now, which is great.
This example, I just need to stop you right there. Because I have spoken about on this stream where there are so people always talk about not working for free in the industry, and I'm like, yes, that's a great thing to have. There are genuine opportunities, like genuine exposure opportunities. This is a really good example of a genuine exposure opportunity. So like when you're saying, oh, I would never do anything for free, I would like, okay, you're talking about working for Rolling Stone, getting access to Lollapalooza, portrait shoots. At Lollapalooza, this is a equal partnership. There's a collaborative approach to this, I think.
And also after that, a publicist reached out to me for a really big Australian band that's overseas and said, do you know any US based photographers to do some shots of this massive band that's selling over 50,000 tickets? And I said, yeah, I've got Shervin, he's great. And so I looped them in. Who knows what's going to happen from that, but that
there's that relationship.
Yes,
guys, this, so everybody in the chat listening, there are sometimes, this is where you have to weigh up the benefit, and for this, like, this obviously is an amazing opportunity. And those photos, I mean, I reached out to you about those photos because I thought they were so brilliant, and he did them in a way that I've seen a lot of portraits at, I mean, that's one of my goals, is to do those types of portraits at a festival. So I was like super inspired because it's something that's been in the back of my mind for a long time. He did them in such a unique and beautiful way. It was really inspiring to see that it's possible. So really cool.
And I mentioned it because I was thinking about the Donda example and how when we sent off his application, a lot of labels and managers emailed me and was like, hey, apparently you're sending a photographer to Lollapalooza to photograph my artist. I just want to double check that this is legit, that you know this photographer, that you trust them, you know, they're going to treat my artist well. And I was like, oh, this is really cool that they do this because, he could fake, well, not that he would, but anyone could fake a letter.
Anyone could, yes. Yeah. Which is exactly what's happening. Chloe's saying, oh my God, Poppy, you're so amazing. I'm fangirling. And Brittany said, seriously, could not love this more. And Shelly's just popped up in the chat as well. What up, Kiki? Nice to see you here. And Ozo Leia, nice to see you here as well. So great to have all of your comments in the chat today. Super appreciate it. It's so great. Well, we're going to get on to the process of shooting covers for Rolling Stone magazine, and then we're going to talk about one of your favorite recent covers as well. So can you talk about when you're looking to get, so first of all, how does it work? Because you select an artist, is that how it starts?
Well, I'll go right back to the start. So when we first we were working on this deal with Rolling Stone for about 2 years before we announced it in early 2020, I think, or maybe it was late 2019. It's all a blur, to be honest. But in late 2019, in October, Luke and I got to go to New York because that's part of their deal when they have a publisher start to operate Rolling Stone within a country. So they invite you to New York, and we had 2 days of meeting with every, a representative from every single sector of their business. So I got to sit and meet with the digital director, Jerry Portwood, and just ask him a million questions. I think I took 30 pages of notes across 2 days. And then I got to sit with, the magazine team as well for editorial. And I got to sit with Joe Hutchison, who is their head of, I guess he's I can't even remember his title, but he's their he's their creative director dude that runs all of the shoots, everything visual that you see on Rolling Stone US, whether it's print or online, that's Joe Hutchison. And also Catriona as well. So she's one of the creative people over there too. And so he's sitting there and he's talking to me about, how they want to look at our magazine before we go to print. He'd just like to make sure it's all kind of on brand and that it looks good. And he gave some advice about, placement of features. One of the things he said was, if you've done a photo shoot for a feature article, don't have that same background. Just because you took 2 beautiful shots of an artist and one they're turning side and one they're forward doesn't mean you have to use both because they're both the same background, same outfit. Try and mix it up when you're in your features. And so he's actually the person that we pitch to every time we have a cover idea. So how to go back again.
Yes, this is great.
We'll use Tash Sultana as the example. So we did a couple of interviews, and they were potential covers. We knew that they were potential covers because they were big artists, and we knew that we wanted to spend the better half of a day with them. Our journalists would spend the better half of a day. That's like the requirement from the US. And then we would do additional interviews. So you would speak to people that are close to the artist. And so we did 2 of those. We had 2 artists in contention for that March cover this year. And they were both really, really, really good. Like we kind of had like a Shark Tank kind of thing where Tyler had interviewed Chet Faker and I had interviewed Tash Sultana. And we're like, and I made Luke do this, and he hated it, by the way. He was like, I don't want to be the person choosing it. It sucks. I hate this. Just tell me who you want on the cover, and we'll put them on the cover. And so I said, and it was my idea to kind of do it Shark Tank way. And I was like, okay, so Tash talks about this and this. And then I went and saw their live show, and they did this, and it was incredible. And then Tyler comes in, and he's like, well, I spoke to Chet about this, and he'd never spoken about it before, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we thought they were both so brilliant, so we put them both on different covers. So Chet was our June cover.
That's so awesome.
So once we've locked in the cover artist, then we start talking about the cover shot. And mind you, the cover artist is never completely locked in until we get that perfect shot. So, you know, we don't announce it until we actually have the photo, of course. But we never tell them that they're absolutely the cover artist until we've got our shot. So we had previously worked with Gigi McGee on the Tones and I cover, which was our first Rolling Stone cover in May 2020. And we just loved working with her, and we just love her as a photographer. So we reached out to Gigi and we said, we want to show Tash in a light that they've never been shown in before. And we want it to feel intimate. And we want the shot, there to be no barriers between our cover artist and the reader. And it just has to feel new, like something that Tash's fans have never seen before. And I had this pretty silly idea that we would have Tash cuddling their guitar, like kind of like the Yoko and John Lennon cover where he's cuddling Yoko, but instead of Yoko it would be the guitar. And Tash's team said, not quite. And you know, we work with the team on it. We're like, we've got a couple of ideas. And then my sister, who's Katie Taylor, who is the creative director and project manager of Rolling Stone magazine for Australia, she said, what if we showed off Tash's chest tattoo, which, you know, does come quite low. Obviously Tash would be wearing whatever made them feel comfortable in the shoot. But we kind of make it very intimate. We have it
There we go.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry, I lost you for 2 seconds. I'm just checking the chat can hear you. Yeah, I just want to see if let me just check. Can you guys? It could have just been me. Yeah, I think
I thought it went a bit quiet.
Yeah, it did. It's back. Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
I was like, oh my god. I think we lost about like 30 seconds.
Okay, that's a lot.
Go back a little bit.
So we told Gigi we wanted something intimate, and the album is called Terra Firma, so we wanted it to feel earthy like that. And Gigi pitched a few backgrounds. She actually like painted some and was like, how about this? And how about this? And then we had a very small studio set at Gigi's studio in Melbourne, and it was just Tash, their partner Jamie, and the photographer. And of course the hair and makeup was previous, but that was like very natural hair, very natural makeup. And my sister, because she lives on the Gold Coast, she FaceTimed in at the start just to say like, okay, you've got your set there, okay, great, all right, so what's your camera angle going to be? And then FaceTimed in at the end as well to see a couple of the shots.
Great.
And then because it was quite an intimate shot, and we don't usually do this, we had Tash look at the photos and to point out any that she really, really loved. And So, and then we had them all sent over. So all of like, non-edited, just send them all over. And then we chose a bunch that we loved, and it was really hard to choose our cover. So we mocked up like 3 different covers with 3 different shots. And then we sent it to the team and we're like, which ones do you like? We can't decide. We think they're all amazing. And we went with that orange background one that we have now.
Yes, I've got that up on the screen at the moment. It is like, and it's interesting that you say, because it is really different. Like I remember seeing it and going, wow, I haven't really seen a shot like that for the cover of Rolling Stone before. It is a different type of intimacy that you don't generally see.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I love that there's like a bit of there's a bit of room to move and there's a new direction there. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and I'd seen that cover shot, and I was driving with, I don't drive, my husband was driving, and I was like, I need a cool cover line, like this whole feature's about, Tash is just who they are, and people just she's really they've gone really intimate about who they are as a person, and this whole album is them finally kind of like really revealing that about them. And Mahan was just like, what if it's just I am Tash Sultana? And I was like, oh, boring. And then I was like, hold on a minute, that's actually fucking brilliant.
They're really powerful as well. Yeah. So yeah, Britt said really well executed. I completely agree. It's such the whole series was just really beautiful photos. Bill just asked, have you ever had a case where your choice for the cover was something the artist absolutely hated, and how do you handle that? That's a great question.
That is a really great question. We haven't had that yet, but I know that the US did. So the US did a cover with, I think it was Normani, Megan Thee Stallion, and I forgot the other person. It was 3 female artists on the cover, and Normani really didn't like it, and I knew that she didn't like it because someone tweeted it, and she wrote a comment like, "You will remove that tweet if you care about me," or something. I'm paraphrasing, something along those lines. Yeah. I think that Normani really hated that shot. And yeah, so that's really tough because we choose the cover photo, not the artist.
And not the photographer either. That should be, because I know I haven't shot with you guys before, but I have shot with NME, and I remember the cover. It was a bit different to what I probably would have chosen, but again, it's not. It's not my objective. It's like it's the publications. Like there's a whole lot of set of rules and stuff as well. So it's always interesting to see what's chosen.
Yeah, and you do really run that risk of the artist not liking it, because the whole remit for us is show the artist in a light they've never been seen in before. Show something different, show something intimate. So that can be quite a bit different for an artist. They might not like seeing themselves in the light they've been shown in. But yeah, with that one with Tash, we definitely had them, look over Gigi's shoulder at the computer and pick out their favorites.
Yes. Kiki's asked, do you have set criteria for choosing the cover, or are you just kind of going with intuition, or like the consensus of the most people or whatever? Like, how does that final decision get made?
Oh yeah, it's got to be, it's the strongest interview for choosing that artist. Yeah. So it's the person who revealed the most that hasn't been revealed before. And it's not really about the additional interviews. Keith Urban's additional interviews were Taylor Swift, John Mayer, and Nile Rodgers, which is pretty massive. But that kind of didn't come into it with Keith. It was more about how deep and generous he was in talking about his backstory and talking about his career and talking about his dad and his own issues with alcoholism and drug abuse as well. That was very generous the way he went into that. So that was kind of a no-brainer based on that. But yeah, it's based on the strength of the interview. That's what we always say. Like, it's got to be strong.
It's got to be strong, yeah. And then I guess when you're Britt just said, I think the vulnerability you get with these musicians is just incredible. I think both from an interview point of view and a photography point of view, like both of those things go hand in hand. Like that vulnerability, intimacy, there's something that you see. I think that's why Rolling Stone is always, it's goals for everybody. Do you know what I mean? It's goals for music journalists, it's goals for music photographers. It has such high prestige because you guys do such a good job of what music journalism is supposed to be, and it hasn't really wavered either. Like a lot of journalism's gone to shit. But I feel like Rolling Stone is kind of stuck there, and it's really great music journalism still. I feel like that anyway.
Yeah, and it's really the strength of the photographer, isn't it? Because, there is no way Tash would have given us such a beautiful photo of them if they weren't comfortable with Gigi McGee. So it really, like, full props to Gigi for being able to do that with an artist, and same with you. Like, that's the shots that you have gotten, like, you can see that there's a huge level of comfort there. And not a
Yeah, it's
comfort in
part
the
of the
way that,
job.
like, too comfortable. It's just like they're giving
Yeah.
them they're giving something new and different and exciting, that they might not have given if they weren't comfortable with the photographer.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about this so many times. It's so much more about that than the photography, like the technical side. Like, you need to have the technical ability for sure. Like, without a doubt, you need to know how to execute the photo or the brief, but it's the connection with the person to get that result, which is, I think, so much more important. It's really, because you can see it in Tasha's face. Like, you can see it in this shot, how comfortable she is with, they are with Gigi, because it's really evident. It's in her eyes. It's in every aspect of the photograph. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
you
that's
absolutely can see that.
yeah. And I just think, like, I would be so nervous, like, you've really got to know your shit, right? Like, if you've got your set, you're all set up, and then if you come in and you haven't got everything planned out and you haven't rehearsed certain shots or certain things, that can really change the vibe in the room, I would imagine. It's the same as, like, when you're doing an interview. Like, if you're
Yeah.
going in and you don't know your shit and you can't remember the bloody album name or the song title, like, God, that's just the worst. The artists pick up on that, and they're
They
less likely to
straight
be revealing.
away,
Yeah.
yeah, straight away they'll pick up on that. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same. It's like, even there's, I don't know, I think there's such an intuition that comes with photography, and for me, I pick up straight away if an artist is not comfortable. So I need to. It's all of the effort is going into the comfort more than anything else. And when you get to that level, you can start really thinking about nailing the photograph. But it's like, it could be 20 minutes, half an hour of warming them up and just making sure they're comfortable, and you're kind of testing, you're kind of getting the general vibe, and then something clicks and it's like, all right, let's go, we're good. We're in the zone, and then it all happens. Yeah, it's a bit of a process. It's like you're establishing trust, and there's a whole process that I go through, and it includes, like, kind of gassing up making sure that they know that they're doing something that's I can visually see is really great. All of that type of communication is really helpful.
Do you have any like little tricks that you use, like, maybe, like, when they're choosing their outfit, maybe are you there hanging out with them, talking to them? Yeah.
I hanging out the whole time, having a cup of tea, just talking to them about whatever, just making sure that you're relating to them on a human level. It's all part of the process. Like, because I know that some photographers don't do that. They'll just be setting up and there's no connection whatsoever, whereas I would use most of that time when they're having their makeup done or whatever, just chilling, just like hanging out and just having a chat.
That's
especially
genius.
if you've never met the artist. For me, it's like, it's not it's like, because people ask me how I do it, and I'm like, this is just natural. Like, this is just what I would do with the person to get to know them. Like, it's not, I don't think of it as a process, but obviously it's so integral to what we do as photographers. Now I think about it, it's like, oh, that's actually part of my process. I never used to think it like that. I used to just think I was just like having a chat with someone, just like building the connection and hanging out. But yeah, it is part of the creative process, I guess.
So does that mean that you try and get there early, like when there's, because or I would imagine you'd be there before them anyway. But yeah, how do you make sure that you're kind of doing that hanging around?
It's it's like it is definitely getting there early, and so I'd want to be prepared before they get there, so that I don't have to be really setting up too much. Sometimes you don't want to get in their face as well. It's like it's actually reading the person. Like, it might be a little bit hanging out, a little bit setting up, but just getting that vibe. But a cup of tea is really big for me, just having a cup of tea, because I don't know, everybody loves having a cup of tea and chat. And music's the other big thing, is just like setting the whole vibe. Like, what's the mood of the whole shoot and setting that mood and making sure that the artist is like asking them what music they want. What's your vibe today? What do you, sometimes they want to get into a zone that's like, you know, like an alter ego or something. So they're like, okay, put this up, put on Bowie because I want to embody what Bowie means to me or something, or, you know, put on Beyonce because I want to be like Sasha Fierce or whatever. It's different for different artists, but
that's so genius.
The music is definitely part of building the whole vibe for sure.
Yeah, I just realized really I kind of did that this morning. I was hosting a Sam Fender, UK artist. He's releasing an album in October, and I did this like listening party thing. I mentioned it to you, Michelle. And so they brought me onto the Zoom like 10 minutes before everyone else came in, so we could just chat and everything. And he was drinking tea, and I was drinking tea, and I was like, what kind of tea are you drinking? Oh yeah, and he's talking about how he can't have green tea because it makes him like vomit. And that kind of like then he asked what tea I was drinking, and then it was like, okay, cool, we kind of got this rapport now. And then we chatted about a bunch of other things, and so when we went into it, he was very comfortable with me and knew that I could handle a conversation, that I wasn't just going to be like question answer.
Yeah, you're like a person. There's a human connection there. It's just about like establishing that it's, yes, you can go in, you know, like it's a job, but like I always think about, they do that day in, day out. There's interview after photo shoot, and I just want to relate to them as a person. I've always said that if I'm not friends with someone by the end of the shoot, I don't feel like I would have got the best out of them. I don't think they would have relaxed enough to let me in to see, like, to get that kind of essence of who they are. So that's part of the process. It's like, I want to be friends with this person. I want to, you know, want there to be a really great relationship by the end of it. So, conversation over interrogation. That's a great quote, Bill. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it humanizes you. Yeah.
Yeah. Gab said, this is hilarious. She said, just before lockdown, I was working a live shoot with an artist, and we ran laps around the venue because we were cold and we were waiting for sound check. So I did laps together. I love that.
You did exercise together. That's such a bonding session. I love that.
That's such, yeah. That is so funny. I would be dead, I think, after these not working out for lockdown.
I know. How fit are you, by the way? Just laps, you know.
How many laps did you run, Gab? That's amazing. Oh, that's so funny. Well, we've had you for an hour. I can't believe it. It feels like it's just gone like that. But anyway, if we've got questions for Poppy before we let her go, because this has been such an amazing chat, but please chuck some questions in the chat if you've got anything else that you'd like to talk to her about. I'd love to talk to you about, you know, we always get bogged down in COVID conversations, and I did say to you, we want to avoid COVID conversations today. So I want to look to the future and once this is passed, are you positive about the future? How are you feeling about where the music industry, because there's so much talk about how the music industry is decimated and everyone's having to find quote unquote real jobs, and do you feel like it's going to bounce back?
Oh,
give
man.
us some hope,
if
Poppy.
If I read too much of the news or read too much of, and it's literally my job, by the way, to do this, but if I'm really like obsessed with 11 a.m. checking the numbers, checking all the new mandates and stuff, I find myself getting really sad for our music industry, and I find myself thinking about all of the artists whose literal job was at the pub that's now closed, who played there on weekends, you know, in a cover band, or played their own originals or whatever, and that's just completely decimated, like you say. Like, that just breaks my heart. But it looks like we're just going to have to change to a new normal, and maybe there's in Europe actually they're doing these rapid testing. A friend of mine was telling me about it. So like half an hour.
Did you know that technology was developed in Australia, but it's not legal here? I know. Don't even get me started, Poppy.
Okay, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, so they're using it all around the world, but they're not using it here yet. But it's okay. It's fine.
Oh, okay. So if you're not vaccinated, which, you know, some of us are not eligible yet, which sucks, and you want to go to a festival, say, you would get this rapid test, which you get sent to you, and then it tells you within half an hour, or at the start of the festival grounds, you would do the rapid test and then walk around for half an hour and then come back, and you're good.
Come back.
And you can go in.
Brilliant idea. Brilliant.
It's a bit more expensive, you know, like for the unvaccinated, which, you know, that I mean, if you really want to go to a concert and you're not vaccinated, that is a really great option for you.
It's a great
But yeah,
option.
it's just going to have to be a new normal, right? Like we're just going to have to all get vaccinated. It's really important. And then our borders can open up and our live industry can open up. The UK has seen some, like they've gone from like crazy socially distanced gigs to just hosting Reading and Leeds Festival. I don't know if you saw any of the footage of that.
I did. I saw Kid Leroy there. It was just like, what the hell? It was huge.
And people are moshing, and it's just like,
They've just gone from
just reminds me
zero
of Big
to
Day
like
Out.
a million. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
it was kind of inspiring and a little bit terrifying. It was like I had both of those feelings.
Yeah, I know.
All those
totally.
people, but also
Yeah,
amazing.
altogether.
Like we can get there.
Yeah, I would love to see us go back to that because that's what our music industry is about, our live touring and our artists getting out on the road and like just live music and going and seeing a band live it just does so much for my well-being. Like my whole core just feels like it gets a big warm hug when I see live music. So
yes,
yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh, I love that. I'm the same. I feel like there's a lot of music photographers that I'm friends with around the world, and they're all back shooting, and they're all amazing, and it's just so great to see their work again. Just like it's so inspiring because they've all just come back. It's like they're better than they were when they like stopped 18 months ago. It's just like everyone's so. The level of the work is just so inspiring. So that's really cool to see. Yeah,
that's
which is
cool.
great.
And they were.
Okay. I was going to say, it just means like if anyone's scared that you're going to lose it, you're not, because I'm seeing everybody come back now and they haven't lost it.
That's really interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and they were all looking to us to be the first out of COVID, and we're so not.
So I know. Shelley has a question. She said, I know this is talking about photography, but also would love to know Poppy's experience in the media space and if she knows much about New Zealand, because I feel like the media is huge, but here Shelley's in New Zealand. She feels like it's non-existent. Do you have much experience with current media over in there and what that's like over there?
Yeah, no, not really. But we're trying to open up in New Zealand. We want to branch out. We want to have our Rolling Stone magazines on shelves there and everything. We want to bring our awards to New Zealand too. That's in the planning
because
stage.
The music over there is so great.
Oh my God,
New Zealand has the best music. Like they really do have amazing artists, especially R&B hip hop artists. They're so talented.
It's absolutely insane. Like I wrote this feature in our June magazine, and it was about the how Maori language te reo is being used in all these really popular songs and being played on radio, and their Waiata anthems was created, and it was all hit songs that have been translated to te reo and recorded in te reo, and then it went number one, like the first time an album completely in a different language went number one in New Zealand. And so that kind of got me into like, okay, what are all these artists doing? What are they up to? And just the caliber is insane. When we launch in New Zealand, I want to do a whole magazine dedicated to New Zealand music. New Zealand industry. And it's, like there's so much to go off. Like there's so much talent there. It's insane. But as for the media there, I'm not actually too sure. Like I know that there's some of the main publications like stuff.co.nz does a bit of music, but I don't know I don't really know what their music media sector is like. But you've got some great writers over there. Poppy Tohill is a writer as well.
There's some good editorial stuff happening there as well, because I know when Rule went over, he was in a bunch of magazines, like editorial style stuff that was really cool. Like great photographers, great writers. Some cool stuff happening for sure.
And Jacinda, the Prime Minister, she gets it, right? Like she gets music and she gets how important it is. She's a DJ, so I think she DJ'd Laneway or something.
She must be our PM. I love her so much. Like
I know, right?
The best. I love her. Yeah. Kiki's asked, I'm sure you get this all the time, but what kind of things should aspiring photographers be aware of in their work in regards to if they're wanting to work with Rolling Stone? What are you looking for, and what helps folks stand out? That's a great question.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not an expert on photography at all. I refer to Katie, our creative director, and also Joe over in the US as well, for that. But I guess if your photos tick those lists of what our cover photo has to have. You know, if your photo shows a level of intimacy and something that fans haven't seen before, and there's no barrier between your artist and the reader. And I mean, you know, when I say barrier, I mean they're not like this and you can't really see their face or whatever.
There's a connection there.
Yeah, that's it. There's no barrier there. But yes, I mean, there's so many incredible photographers. I love them all. I just want to work with them all. Like, it's so hard for me to go, oh, this is a great pick and that's crap, because I don't have that brain and I'm not an expert in that stuff. But you know, there has been photos that I've seen that have really moved me, and I've just gone, whoa, you've captured something really special there. So yeah, I guess that's it. You've got to try and capture the essence of that artist. How you do that? That's Michelle's. That's your sector. Yeah.
Gab's got a great question. When music festivals start again, will the Bragg Media and Rolling Stone wanting photographers to cover stuff for them from a publication point of view? Is that something that you would open up again to having people submit stuff to for publication?
Yeah, we have a few photographers who are like, look, I just want to take photos, like just give me a platform to put down so that I can take these photos for myself. And that's a really hard decision for me to make, because on one hand they want to do it for free, and on the other hand people should be paid for their art. But if I truly believe that they're going to get a lot more out of it than I'm going to get by publishing their photos, then I will do it. There are a few festivals and events and stuff that we have as part of our campaigns side of the business anyway, so we should be taking photos for them, and with those ones we have budget. Unfortunately, I don't have budget for the gigs and the festivals that aren't tied to a campaign, or that we don't have a really good reason for. But yes, I want to have photographers at every big event. It's something that it just looks beautiful. Unfortunately, when I look at my KPIs and I look at my budget, and my KPIs are around getting eyeballs on the site, Australian page views, for me the galleries just don't go as well as some of our online editorial pieces. So I have to weigh that up with the budget that I have.
I think that's pretty standard for live music photographers, though. They would mostly be used to not being paid for, say, festivals or gigs, but being paid for more editorial. It's so much work. It's so much work. But the thing is that those photographers, and there's a lot of them in the chat today, they love what they do, like, so much. Like, it's all about just, documenting live music. Like, they love it so much. So it's the benefit for them is there. So they're often looking for publications that will just get them kind of in the door. So it's good to know that that's potentially going to be an option for when things open up for people to submit to you guys, which would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. If you're going to do it anyway, and you just need foot in the door,
just to get in.
Hit me up.
Very, very cool. Shelley said that you might know her sister Mars.
Yes, I was chatting with her last night. Actually, we were watching the Halsey thing separately, obviously. I love Mars. Oh, that's your sister. Wait, is Mars your twin sister?
Are you guys twins? I'll wait for her to answer. There's a delay in the chat, so
I feel like I might have seen something on Facebook, and I was like, that is so Mars's sister, and I don't know if that's her twin or not.
I feel like Shelley's got a couple of sisters, so maybe, I'm not sure. She said, did anyone else? Oh, yes, she said yes. That's her twin. There you go.
Cool.
Shelley's an awesome photographer. If you ever need someone in New Zealand, there you go. She's amazing, and she's a big part of this community as well. So that's very cool. Ash said, when are we going to see Poppy and Mish team up for a cover?
Right?
Yes, right?
I know.
Yes. Oh, hopefully in the future that can happen.
Our next cover is illustrated. So that's
I can't draw Poppy. How's this going to work?
And then the one after that's March, and that's the one where I want to do some Kiwi stuff.
I love that idea though. I think that's such. I mean, I'm a big fan of. Like I said, there's a lot of New Zealand artists that I'm actually just obsessed with. I think that's such a great idea. And there's got to be some amazing photographers over there too that would be great to feature. I think.
in abundance.
It's just amazing artists over there, I think, for sure. But this has been so lovely. I don't want to take up any more of your time because it's, oh my God, an hour and 15 minutes has been, Gab said she can supply a list of New Zealand photographers, so there you go. I know a couple too, so we'll hook you up when you're doing the March feature, so it's like a total New Zealand collab. I super appreciate your time. This has been such an amazing chat. It was just a great little hangout session. Everyone is showing all of the love in the chat. They're just loving it. So I'll make sure we put this up online as well so other people can watch if they missed out. There's lots of thanks in the chat for you. So much wisdom.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on and for asking me.
Oh,
you're
cool
so how
welcome.
That came about too.
It was. It's been lovely getting to know you a little bit better through these podcasts, and it's just been like little hangout sessions.
I can't believe we haven't met actually.
I know. Well, we'd spoken on the phone before, but we hadn't actually met, which is weird. Well, we'll need to post-COVID. We talked about that with Tama. Hopefully, when Tama comes over from New Zealand, we can all just hang out properly and whatever.
God, I hope it's next year, or the end of this year. Fingers crossed.
Please don't say I hope it's next year, and that be an option that it's not next year.
Yeah, I know, right?
I can't cope with that.
I'm literally at the moment where I'm like, I have no expectations of anything. That's the only way I'm staying sane. It's like I don't expect anything. I expect the worst.
My expectation is I've got no expectation out of this year.
Yeah. Okay.
So
shit.
I have to. Yep. So don't say that to me. I'm gonna oh my God. Anyway.
2022. It's where it's at.
2022 is our year, Poppy. Let's go.
It's our year.
Goal.
Yeah. All the catch-ups. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we will definitely talk to you very soon. But
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. That was so fun. The music died. The nearly